You stand at the stove on a school night, stirring boxed mac and cheese while homework stays open on the counter. You listen for the front door, because the keys tell you what kind of night it will be. Nobody handed you a badge, you just noticed nobody else was coming. This is the psychology of a child who grew up too fast. The phrase sounds dramatic until you remember how practical it was. You grew up too fast because someone had to track the mood, the money, the sibling, the silence, or the adult who should have been tracking you. Maybe people praised it. Such a good kid. So mature. So easy. But the wound was not responsibility. It was the trade. A child became the backup adult, without adult power, adult protection, or permission to fall apart. And if everyone called that maturity, the sharper question is what the child had to trade to earn it. You are 12 in a grocery checkout line, holding your parents' debit card while the cashier waits. Your little sibling keeps reaching for candy, and you move their hand away before anyone gets irritated. You pretend not to be scared the card might decline. Calm becomes a costume. This is not about chores. A kid can unload the dishwasher and still feel protected. The fracture starts when helping stops being occasional and becomes the family system. That is parentification. The child becomes the emotional sponge, backup plan, or small adult. Psychologist Lisa M. Hooper from the University of Alabama found in 2011 that across 12 studies, childhood parentification had a significant positive association with adult psychopathology, with an overall effect size of R.25. That means the pattern was not just a sad memory. Across those studies, it connected to later depression and anxiety symptoms in a measurable way. The strange part is how invisible it can look from outside. The report card is fine. The lunch gets packed. The younger sibling is dressed, and nobody asks why a child knows where the overdue bill is. So later, one serious text can tighten your chest before you read the second sentence. A request can feel like a test. A tired face can feel like an assignment. Because parentification does not only train a kid to help, it trains the kid to stop asking who was supposed to help them. You sit on the school steps after practice, watching other kids run toward cars with their names shouted through open windows. The coach asks if you have a ride, and you say yes before knowing if it is true. Waiting feels less humiliating when you make it look chosen, so you become low maintenance. That phrase sounds flattering. It often means your needs learn to travel quietly. You do not reach too loudly because reaching once taught you something expensive. Wanting became easier to hide than disappointment was to survive. Psychologist Mary D. Ainsworth from the University of Virginia found in 1978 that in the strange situation classifications, about 66% of infants were secure, 22% were avoidant, and 12% were resistant. The avoidant infants often minimized visible distress and avoided the caregiver after separation. They were not free of need. They had learned that showing need did not reliably bring comfort. That is the part people misread as independence. You can become the person who says, "I'm good," while checking whether anyone noticed the pause. You can delay answering a message, not to play games, but to see if wanting something will cost you. Need gets dressed as chill. The low-maintenance child does not disappear in adulthood. They become the friend who never picks the restaurant, the partner who says either time works, the employee who takes on one more task because refusing feels louder than exhaustion. The wound was not that no one came every time. No childhood is perfectly timed. The wound was no adult returning to repair the fear after they missed you. So when someone steady finally reaches for you, why can needing them still feel like stepping into traffic? You are on the couch at 11:47 p.m., watching a text bubble appear and disappear. Your chest tightens, but another part starts defending them before they even answer. They are probably busy. They are probably tired. You are already making yourself easier to keep. This is the needed one. Not needy in the cartoon way people insult. Needed. Useful enough to be chosen. Helpful enough to be tolerated, funny enough to bring the room back. Psychologist Edward Tronick from the University of Massachusetts, Boston, found in 1978 that in the still face experiment, when a caregiver suddenly became unresponsive, infants tried to re-engage, then showed distress, turned away, and lost emotional organization within about 2 minutes. 2 minutes can teach a body that a flat face is an emergency. A delayed response can become more than a delay. The adult version looks polished. You reread the thread. You soften the tone. You send the lighter joke, the useful update, the version of yourself least likely to burden anyone. The old assignment is simple. Get the face to move again. Get warmth back into the room. Make the silence end before it becomes proof. That is why inconsistent people can feel magnetic. They create a problem your nervous system already knows how to solve. When the reply finally comes, relief rushes in so fast it can get mislabeled as chemistry. That is why the person who delays love can feel electric before they ever feel safe. You sit in a conference room while your manager says, "Can we talk after this?" Everyone else keeps looking at the deck. You keep nodding, but your stomach drops into that old hallway place. The rest of the meeting becomes surveillance. You track the pause after your name. You notice who got the warmer tone. You replay one sentence while pretending to take notes. No one has yelled, but your body is already preparing. This is the watchtower role. It is not overthinking in the lazy way people use that word. It is a child's old job continuing in an adult room. Catch the shift early, and maybe peace can be preserved. Developmental psychologist E. Mark Cummings, from the University of Notre Dame, found in 1985 that children 12 to 38 months old who watched angry adult interactions showed more distress and aggressive behavior than children who watched friendly adult interactions. They were toddlers. They were not analyzing marriage dynamics. Their bodies were already learning that adult tension changes the air. So a delayed Slack reply becomes weather. A period at the end of a sentence feels colder than usual. A group chat goes quiet, and the watchtower lights up. You build 3 explanations before anyone says anything real. That skill probably made sense once. Maybe reading the room helped you avoid becoming the target. Maybe it helped you protect a sibling. Maybe it helped you know when to disappear. But adulthood makes the old skill expensive. The office is bright. The chair is ergonomic. The coffee is overpriced and harmless. Still, some part of you is listening through a bedroom door. You stand in your aunt's kitchen on Thanksgiving, drying dishes while everyone calls you the reliable one. The room is warm, loud, and full of people who technically love you. Nobody asks if you wanted to sit down. Praise can sound affectionate while quietly locking the role in place. This is the distinction people skip. Not every responsible childhood is damage. Not every chore is a wound. Competence can be real and still have a shadow. The question is not whether you helped. The question is whether you could stop. Could you be tired without someone getting disappointed? Could you be upset without becoming inconvenient? Neuroscientist Dylan G. from Yale University found in 2013 that previously institutionalized children showed adult-like negative amygdala prefrontal connectivity during childhood, a pattern typically seen later in adolescence. In plain English, the alarm system and control room were coordinating like an older brain too soon. The child was not more mature because childhood was finished. The child was adapting to conditions that demanded early control. That is the dark nuance. Some strengths are still strengths. You may be organized, perceptive, calm under pressure, and weirdly good in emergencies. Those traits do not become fake because they came from pressure, but they can become a cage when the world rewards only that version. At work, you are dependable. In family, you are the one who understands. In relationships, you are low drama until resentment shows up with no dramatic entrance. The uncomfortable part is that adulthood may now pay you for the same skill that cost you childhood. You wake up in your first quiet apartment on a Sunday with no missed calls. The coffee maker clicks, the room is clean, nothing is wrong, and that is the problem. You check your phone anyway. No crisis, no sibling needing a ride, no parent sending a sentence that requires emotional translation. The silence should feel peaceful, but it can feel useless. That is the test. Can belonging survive when no one is being managed? Can love remain real when you are not fixing, smoothing, proving, or anticipating? A child who grew up too fast may not fear abandonment only when people leave. They may fear it when nobody needs anything. Psychologist L. Alan Sroufe from the University of Minnesota found in 2005 that the Minnesota longitudinal study followed 180 people from birth into adulthood and found early caregiving predicted later social competence and emotion regulation. The same body of work also showed that later supportive relationships could shift developmental pathways. So the old road can bend. It just may not feel natural at first. Rest can feel like vanishing. Receiving can feel suspicious. A calm relationship can seem flat because no one is asking you to earn your place by saving the mood. So ask the question without rushing past it. If nobody needed anything from you for a whole week, would you feel free or would you feel erased? You fold laundry at midnight and notice how fast your hands move without being asked. Each shirt lands in a neat stack, as if order can prove safety. For 1 second, the room is quiet enough to hear the old roll loosen. The roll held. It got you through. It was strategy, not a personality. You can respect the useful kid without charging usefulness as rent for belonging. That child was not dramatic. That child was doing math with too few adults in the room. You are not too mature. You are a child's armor walking around in adult clothes. The armor protected someone who had to read rooms before breakfast, but armor was never meant to become a home. Before that roll can loosen, it has to be named without turning it into your whole identity. Right, needed, if being useful has ever felt safer than being known. Use the word as a signal, not a diagnosis. It names the old role that still wakes up in texts, plans, quiet rooms, and people who pull away. The next video is about why emotionally unavailable people can feel like home before they ever feel safe.